Hey everyone. Before we jump into today's conversation, I've got a question for you. What do you think is preventing most people from achieving their biggest dreams right now? Stop and think about that for 1 second. Is it intelligence, money, time? No, it's actually something much simpler and way more powerful than all of those things. And today, we're going to reveal exactly what it is and how you can master it. So hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and let's get into this game-changing discussion. Hey everyone, I'm Marcus, and welcome back to Talk, Learn, Teach. This is where we have real conversations about real problems that affect your life, your goals, and your journey to mastering English while becoming a better version of yourself.
And I'm Sophia. We are so thrilled you're here with us today. Whether this is your first time joining us or you've been part of our community for months, we have something absolutely spectacular prepared for you in today's episode.
Seriously though, Sophia, before we dive in, I want to give a massive shout out to our incredible community members who are new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are genuinely excited that you decided to spend this time with us. If you're enjoying what you hear, please don't be shy. Like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who you think could benefit from what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. Now, let's get real for a moment. Marcus just asked something profound at the start. What's actually blocking people from living the life they want?
Right. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I mean, when you look around, you see people with amazing potential, right? They've got the talent, they've got the intelligence, they know what they want to achieve, but somehow between where they are now and where they want to be, something goes wrong.
Wow, yeah. It's like they get stuck in the middle. They start strong, but then something derails them.
Exactly. And that something? It's not bad luck, it's not bad timing, it's actually the missing ingredient in their life plan. That ingredient is something we call intentional discipline. Not the harsh, punishing kind of discipline, but the kind that's compassionate and strategic.
Oh, I love that framing, intentional discipline. That's different from what a lot of people think about when they hear the word discipline, right?
Oh, completely different. Most people hear discipline and they think of punishment or deprivation. They think of suffering. But what we're talking about is actually creating a life where your daily actions naturally align with your deepest goals and values.
That sounds almost easy when you say it like that. But I know from my own experience, it's harder than it sounds.
Is it? Tell me what you mean. What's been your experience?
Well, okay, full transparency here. Last year, I set this goal to improve my fitness and my English skills. I wanted to become healthier and more confident with my English. And I was so motivated at the beginning. I had all these grand plans. I was going to wake up at 5 in the morning, exercise for an hour, then spend 2 hours studying English. It was this beautiful, perfect plan.
That sounds ambitious. What happened?
Oh man. By day 3, I was already struggling. By day 7, I had completely abandoned it. And honestly, I felt so disappointed in myself. I kept thinking, why can't I just stick with something? What's wrong with me?
But here's what's interesting about what you just shared. There's actually nothing wrong with you. And I'm going to say this with all the confidence in the world. Your plan was wrong.
My plan was wrong, but I was so committed. I was so ready.
That's the thing, though. Commitment and readiness aren't enough. You can be the most motivated person on the planet, but if your system doesn't support you, motivation will fail you every single time. And that's actually the first breakthrough we need to talk about today.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What's this breakthrough?
The breakthrough is this. Stop thinking about accomplishment. Start thinking about architecture. What I mean is stop focusing on the big goal, what you want to achieve. Instead, focus on building the structure that makes achievement inevitable.
Oh, wow. That's a significant shift in perspective. Can you give us an example?
Absolutely. So instead of saying, I'm going to learn English, you ask yourself, what's the smallest daily action I can take that guarantees progress? Maybe it's listening to one English podcast episode while you make your morning coffee. Maybe it's learning 3 new words every afternoon. Maybe it's having one 5-minute conversation in English on weekends.
So you're saying start incredibly small.
Not just start small, build small.
That's the distinction. When I say small, I mean stupidly small. I mean so small that the only way you could possibly fail is if you deliberately quit.
Okay, I actually really like that perspective. But don't people need to push themselves? Doesn't progress require struggle?
Here's what I've discovered, and this is critical. Struggle in the wrong direction is just suffering. But struggle in the right direction, where you're building consistency first and intensity second, that's actually powerful. What you want is to make the behavior stick first, then gradually increase the difficulty.
So it's like build the habit, then build the strength?
Yes, exactly that. Think about it like constructing a building. You don't start by putting in the fancy decorative details. You start with a solid foundation. The foundation is the daily behavior, no matter how small. The decorative details, those are the increased intensity that come later.
I'm starting to see why my plan failed, honestly. I tried to build the entire mansion on date one.
Precisely. And here's what would have worked instead. You choose one single thing, just one. Maybe it's a 10-minute movement practice every morning. Or maybe it's one lesson on that English learning app you've been ignoring. That's it. That's your entire goal for the next month.
Just one thing for a whole month?
Well, let me clarify. You're not only doing one thing, but you're only being intentional and deliberate about one new discipline-building habit. Everything else you do beyond that is just bonus. The magic happens when that one small behavior becomes so automatic that you don't even think about it anymore. Then and only then do you add something else.
Okay, I actually think I understand why that works now. It's because willpower is a limited resource, isn't it?
Now you're getting it. Your willpower is like your phone battery. You start the day with a full charge, but every decision you make drains that battery. And here's the thing, our culture is telling us to make 1,000 decisions. What to wear, what to eat, whether to check social media today or tomorrow.
By the time evening comes, you're completely drained.
Completely. And that's when your discipline collapses. That's when you end up doom scrolling instead of practicing English. That's when you convince yourself that skipping your workout today is fine. The solution, you need to deliberately redesign your environment so that the right choice is the easy choice.
Okay, I need you to explain this because it sounds brilliant, but also a little mysterious.
It's simpler than you think. Let's use a concrete example. You want to build the habit of studying English every morning. What are the usual obstacles? Maybe you sleep through your alarm. Maybe you wake up and see your phone with notifications. Maybe you get distracted. Maybe you don't even remember that you wanted to study.
All of those things have happened to me.
Right. So instead of relying on your willpower to overcome all those obstacles, you redesign the environment itself. You place your study materials, your book, your notebook, your headphones, right next to your bed. You set your alarm on your actual alarm clock, not your phone. You put your phone in another room, so it's not there tempting you. You prepare a cup of tea or coffee the night before, so it's ready to go.
Oh, so I'm removing the friction from the good behavior and adding friction to the bad behavior.
There it is. That's exactly what you're doing. You're not relying on motivation or discipline in the moment. You've already decided all of this the night before when you had a clear mind. You've designed the path and now you're just walking it.
That's actually genius. But what about when life gets crazy? What if unexpected things happen?
Great question. And this is where the second big principle comes in. We need to talk about what I call the resilience buffer.
The resilience buffer. I like that term. What is it exactly?
It's this. You're going to mess up. You're going to miss a day. You're going to skip your practice. And that's completely okay and completely normal. The resilience buffer is the built-in understanding that missing once is a hiccup, missing twice is a pattern, missing 3 times is the start of your old life coming back.
Oh, that's important. So you're saying it's not about perfection.
It's the opposite of perfection. It's about consistency with grace. You understand that you're human. You have hard days. You have days when your energy is depleted or your circumstances change. And instead of using that as an excuse to abandon everything, you just do a micro version of your habit.
A micro version? Can you give an example?
Let's say you committed to a 20-minute English study session every day, but today you're exhausted. Instead of skipping it completely, you do 2 minutes. You listen to one song in English. You read one paragraph. You speak one sentence aloud. It's so small that it maintains the behavior thread without exhausting you.
So you're keeping the habit alive even if it's tiny.
Exactly. Because here's what happens psychologically. When you miss a day completely, your brain starts to question whether you're actually the type of person who does this thing. But when you do the micro version, you're reinforcing your identity. You're saying, yes, I'm someone who practices English, even when it's hard. I show up.
Wow, that's really profound. The identity piece is powerful.
It absolutely is. And this leads to something I want to discuss that's absolutely crucial. Most people get this wrong. They think discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do.
Isn't it?
No. Real discipline is about enjoying the process. It's about making the journey itself rewarding, not just the destination.
How do you make the boring stuff enjoyable, though?
By being creative and, honestly, a bit strategic about it. If you hate studying English in isolation, then find a way to embed it in something you already love. Do you love music? Learn English through song lyrics. Do you love movies? Watch films in English with subtitles. Do you love gaming? Play games where you have to read and respond in English.
Oh, so you're not forcing yourself to study in a way that feels painful.
Never. Because here's what we know from behavioral science. The human brain is built to repeat behaviors that feel good. If studying English feels miserable, your brain is literally going to work against your goals, trying to get you to stop. But if studying English feels enjoyable, your brain actually wants you to keep doing it.
So it's not about suffering.
It's the opposite of suffering. It's about intelligent design. You're designing your learning experience so that it feels good, tastes good, sounds good. You're creating positive associations with the behavior you want to repeat.
Can I ask you something personal? What's something you've built discipline around, and how did you make it enjoyable?
Oh man, I love this question. So a few years ago, I realized I wasn't reading enough. I wasn't learning new things, and I felt stuck intellectually. But every time I tried to sit down and read, it felt like a chore. I was forcing myself, and it never lasted more than a few days.
What changed?
One day, I decided to combine reading with something I already loved: coffee and morning walks. Now, my routine is this. I wake up, I make a really nice cup of coffee, and I go to a local park or cafe. I spend 30 minutes just reading there in a peaceful environment with good coffee nearby. Sometimes I sit by a window and watch people. And you know what? Now I'm reading 5 times more than I ever did when I was forcing myself at home.
That's beautiful. So you didn't change the action, you changed the context.
Exactly. The action is still reading, but the experience is completely different, and that changes everything.
I think people listening to this might be wondering, but doesn't this take a lot of time to set up? Don't you need willpower to design all of this?
Here's where most people get confused. Setting up your environment and your systems takes intentional effort up front, yes. But after that, it requires less willpower, not more. Because once the system is running, it's automatic.
So it's an investment at the beginning.
Absolutely. You're investing your willpower and mental energy at the front end. You're deciding right now, where will I study? What time will I study? What will I study? You're removing all those decisions from the moment when you're tired and weak.
I want to pivot for a second because I think this is important. What about accountability? Does that factor into this at all?
Oh, accountability is huge. Actually, let me reframe it. It's not just about accountability, it's about connection. It's about having another human being who knows about your goals and who you can share your progress with.
Why does that matter so much?
Because we are social creatures, we care what other people think about us, and we're more likely to follow through on commitments we've made publicly than commitments we've only made privately to ourselves.
So if I tell someone else about my goal, I'm more likely to stick with it?
Significantly more likely. But here's the key. It has to be the right person. It can't be someone who's going to judge you or make you feel bad. It needs to be someone who's genuinely interested in your success.
Like a friend or a mentor?
Or even someone you don't know in person. There are online communities for every single goal you can imagine. English learners helping other English learners, fitness communities, creative communities. When you share your goals with a supportive community, something magical happens. You're no longer alone in your journey.
That's actually really comforting. I think a lot of people feel isolated when they're working towards goals.
They absolutely do. And that isolation actually works against your discipline. Because when things get hard, you have no one to turn to. But when you have even one person who understands what you're trying to do, suddenly you feel less alone.
Should people be sharing every small win, or is that overdoing it?
I think both work, but they serve different purposes. Sharing small wins keeps you energized and reminds you of your progress. Sharing when you're struggling keeps you from feeling ashamed or like you're failing. The combination of both is incredibly powerful.
Okay, I want to ask about something that I think a lot of our listeners might be dealing with. What happens when you have multiple goals? How do you build discipline around all of them without becoming overwhelmed?
This is the question. And the honest answer might be disappointing. You don't. You prioritize ruthlessly.
You don't try to do everything at once?
No, because the more goals you're trying to focus on, the more your willpower and mental energy gets divided. And divided willpower means nothing gets enough attention to actually stick.
So, what do you recommend?
I recommend this approach. Choose one area of your life where you want to build new discipline right now. Just one. Maybe it's your English learning. Maybe it's your fitness. Maybe it's your creative work. Just one. Then, over the next few months, you get so good at that one thing that it becomes automatic and requires almost no willpower.
And then?
Then you add another one. Now you have two things that are automated. They don't require much mental energy anymore. Then you add a third, and so on. But you're sequencing it, not stacking it all at once.
So it's like building one skill to mastery before moving to the next?
Not quite mastery, but to automaticity. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need it to be automatic enough that it doesn't drain your willpower reserves.
I think that's actually the most sensible approach I've heard. How long does it take for something to become automatic?
This varies, but research suggests somewhere between 30 and 60 days for basic automaticity. Of course, deepening and improving that habit can take much longer, but the point where you stop struggling and it starts to feel natural, that's usually around the 1 to 2 month mark.
So if someone listening right now wants to get started, what's the first step they should take?
The absolute first step is honest self-reflection. You need to ask yourself, what's one area where I want to build or improve my discipline? And it needs to be something you genuinely want, not something you think you should want.
That distinction is important.
It's critical, because if you're building discipline around something you don't actually care about, it's going to feel like torture, and you'll quit. But if you're building discipline around something that genuinely excites you or matters to you, it feels different.
Then what?
Then you define what success looks like. Not the big, grand version, the smallest, most ridiculously achievable version. For English learning, maybe it's one conversation in English per week. Maybe it's learning 5 new words every day. Maybe it's listening to one 5-minute English podcast episode.
And then you start there?
You start there. And you commit to doing only that for the next 30 days. You don't add anything. You don't increase the intensity. You just show up, do the tiny thing, and celebrate that you did it.
After 30 days, what happens?
After 30 days, you evaluate. How did that feel? Are you enjoying it? Are you seeing progress? If the answer is yes to both, then you can think about adding more. If the answer is no, then you adjust. Maybe you change the time of day. Maybe you change the activity. Maybe you change how you're structuring it. But you stay small and you stay consistent.
I love how practical that is. It's not fancy or complicated.
It's the opposite of complicated. Because here's what I've learned. Complicated disciplines fail. Simple disciplines stick. The simpler your system, the higher chance it survives contact with real life.
That makes so much sense. Okay, I want to ask you something that I think will resonate with a lot of people. How do you deal with self-doubt? Because even if you set up the perfect system, sometimes your own brain is telling you that you can't do it.
Pause. That's a really vulnerable question, and I appreciate it. Honestly, I deal with self-doubt all the time. I deal with it right now. I deal with it before every podcast episode I record. I deal with it before I try to learn something new.
But you push through it anyway?
I don't even think of it as pushing through it anymore. I think of it as acknowledging it and moving forward anyway. Self-doubt is just a thought.
It's not a fact. It's not prophecy. It's just your brain trying to protect you from potential failure by suggesting that you won't succeed.
How do you separate the thought from reality?
Through evidence. Every time I've overcome self-doubt and done the thing anyway, I have evidence that I can do hard things. And I collect that evidence. I remember it. I write it down sometimes. And when doubt shows up again, I can point to that evidence and say, actually, I've done this before. I'm capable.
So you're building confidence through repeated successes.
Through repeated small successes, yes, which is another reason why starting small is so brilliant. When you start small, you're almost guaranteed to succeed. And that success, even though it's small, rewires your brain's beliefs about what you're capable of.
That's really beautiful. I want to take a step back because I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Let me try to summarize what I'm hearing. Build discipline by starting small, designing your environment, finding accountability, removing decision fatigue, and practicing self-compassion. That's a lot of practical wisdom.
It really is. And the best part is, none of it requires you to be superhuman. It just requires you to be intentional.
Perfect. Marcus, thank you so much for this conversation. This has been really insightful.
Thank you for asking such great questions. This is what makes these conversations meaningful.
All right, everyone, before you go, we have a favor to ask. If this episode resonated with you, if something we talked about today made you think differently about discipline and goals, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations.
And more than that, we want to hear from you. Leave a comment down below and tell us what's one small habit you're going to start building this week. Or if you already have experience with building discipline, share your story with us. What worked for you? What didn't work? We read every single comment, and we genuinely love hearing from our community.
Seriously, your comments inspire us and they help other people see what's possible. So please don't be shy. Tell us your experience. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, someone who's been struggling with consistency or feeling stuck, share this episode with them. It could be the conversation that changes their life.
That's the goal, right? To help each other become better versions of ourselves. Thanks so much for spending this time with us. We'll see you in the next episode.
Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, be kind to yourself on this journey. Talk, learn, teach. We'll catch you next time.
Take care, everyone.